Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Longwood Gardens. I know I'm saying welcome back to some of you who have been here in the ballroom, and I would love to know that maybe some of you in the live stream are coming back as well. But if this is your first time viewing part of the competition, we welcome you either in person or on live or live. My name is Tom Warner. I'm director of the Performing Arts Division here, and we are now here at the final session of our preliminary round of the Longwood Gardens International Organ Competition. And we want to thank you all for your interest and your in this competition and then witnessing these fantastic musicians as they make their way through the competition. We are here, obviously, to showcase this fantastic instrument. It's the main reason we are here, because it was a great thing for us to start this competition when this instrument was refurbished many years ago, but also to showcase the talent that is apparent in the organ world today. And we have 10 of them here with us. The competition, of course, wouldn't be possible without people from the competition committee, our judges, who you will meet in just a minute if you haven't already, the Longwood Gardens Board of Trustees, the Longwood staff, and many organizations through the community, including the Allen Organ Company and the Cunningham Piano Company, who donated organs to this effort so that we had plenty of organs for people to practice on, the Spencer Organ Company, who's been maintaining and tuning the organ for us, a number of churches through the community that have also been and will continue to be sites for practice sessions, and the Philip Truckenbrod Concert Artists Organization for representing the winner of this competition this year, the American Guild of Organists Philadelphia chapter, and the World Federation of International Music Competitions, all for their support, which have been instrumental in just making this happen. So we're excited to continue, and to bring you the rest of the way through this evening, I introduce to you our MC now, Haig Marderosian.
Thank you, Tom, and let me join my voice with his in welcoming you to the ballroom and welcoming our online audience watching this evening. It's a delight to see you. I'm here for several reasons. One is to provide a little bit of continuity in this competition as we proceed, and secondly, to provide some basic guidelines and procedural items in my role as kind of traffic coordinator for things. So please forgive me for the latter, and hopefully you'll find some of the former interesting to hear. I hope you'll also agree that this has been thus far an exciting and most interesting competition, and one that's permitted us and continue to permit us to discover extraordinary talent doing extraordinary things. You know, I asked the audience for some comments during the breaks because we're going to be addressing the thematic, the focus of this in a special session on Friday morning, to which I would love to invite you also, a panel discussion with our judges, who you'll meet momentarily, that will be in the Visitor Center auditorium at 11 o'clock, and discussing the theme of organ transcriptions. And indeed, one of the defining features of this competition is that it focuses on organ transcriptions as played on symphonic instruments like this, and a few others. And that enables our performers to approach the work in unique fashion, in very personal fashion in many cases, and that makes for a delight in hearing the differences between performance A and performance B and comparing those. That's our challenge as audience, too, to evaluate what we hear and to come up for a reasoning in terms of that evaluation and our likes and dislikes. This is a pivotal moment, too. It's an inflection point in this week. We have 2 more competitors to hear this evening, and then the judges will make a very important decision about who will be the finalists that will compete on Saturday for the awards. But let me, for the moment, revert to my role as traffic coordinator in reminding you of a few procedural things having to do with this for those of us in the ballroom. As I mentioned before, if I should have mentioned before, if you're watching online, you can completely ignore me for the next minute and a half or so. But for us, please no photography, no audio, no videotaping, no cell phone usage, no texting, no online betting, or similar device usage during the performances. Each of our 2 competitors will perform for 30 minutes in this round, and there'll be a 15-minute break between them. Please refrain from applause until the competitor who's playing has finished their complete performance. So no applause, please, between pieces of music. And if you need to leave the room during a performance, please note you will not be readmitted until the conclusion of that particular performance. Restrooms are located at the green wall. Exit the ballroom, turn left, continue to the left, and you'll locate them there. I can't help you with this if you're watching online and you're somewhere else. If you would like to post about the competition on social media, please feel free to do so. You can use the break to advantage. We will have a slightly longer break in the end that you'll hear about momentarily, and that's another good opportunity to put up your reactions and your feelings about this competition. We appreciate that. Please use the identifying tags at Longwood Gardens, one word, ampersand Longwood Gardens, and the hashtag organ competition, all one word. The order of performance throughout the entire competition is done by lottery. It's been drawn by the performers themselves. And as I have at every session, I acknowledge again our esteemed panel of judges. And so beginning first with our head judge, Simon Johnson. Simon is Master of the Music at Westminster Cathedral in London. Peter Richard Conti is sitting at this end of the judges' table. You probably know Peter. He is principal organist here at Longwood Gardens, presiding at this instrument, and also at the Wanamaker Grand Court organ in Center City, Philadelphia at Macy's. Helmut Deutsch is with us from Stuttgart. He's professor of music at the State University of Music and Performing Arts in that city. Isabel Demers is sitting next to Helmut. Isabel is associate professor of organ at McGill University in Montreal. Thomas Hospital, right here next to Peter, is the organiste titulaire at the Church of Saint-Eustache in Paris, and he's professor of organ at the Paris National Conservatory of Music. Shin-Young Lee, at this end of the table, esteemed concert organist from South Korea, who now resides in France, winner of a number of important competitions in France, and a number of performances with symphony orchestras and solo performances throughout Europe. And next to Shin-Young is Raul Prieto Ramirez from Spain, who now lives in San Diego. He is civic organist of that city, and he's the artistic director of the Spreckels organ in Balboa Park, which is one of the few outdoor pipe organs in the world. So, as I said, and I'll repeat, additionally and importantly, please keep in mind this panel discussion on Friday, the 23rd at 11 a.m. You will hear our judges reflect on this literature that you've been hearing and the techniques of transcription, and I invite you to be a participant body in that by thinking about what that means to you. And we're going to pose a number of questions to the panel, and I know not all of you can be there to stand up and say, I've got a question, but I do invite you to talk to me during the breaks today. And if you have some curiosity about this topic, let me know, and if we can weave that into the fabric of the questions that are working on Friday, I'd be happy to represent that, certainly, in what goes to the judges' panel. So, finally, having done all of this, we now introduce the first competitor tonight. Our first competitor is Bryan Anderson this evening, and he returns to Longwood Gardens. He's familiar here. He, in 2019, was awarded the Furman Swinnon Second Prize in that competition. He also recently won the Canadian International Organ Competition. He serves as Director of Music at St. Thomas Episcopal Church and School in Houston, a place at which he's responsible for daily services and choir training as well. His musical versatility as a soloist and a collaborative musician is evidenced by his recent performances with a number of groups, including the Mercury Chamber Orchestra, Harmonia Stellarum, the Kentucky Baroque Trumpets, and the Oklahoma Bach Choir. Bryan graduated from the Curtis Institute of Music, from which place he got his Master of Music degree, and from which he got his coveted artist diploma, and he went on to get his master's degree in organ from Rice University in Houston. Now, you'll notice that Bryan is not only one of our competitors to have been singled out by the journal, The Diapason, which is a venerable journal of the organ profession, as part of their annual list of 20 under 30, signaling out young talent. Several of our competitors have been on that list in various years. Bryan's name was added to that honor roll in 2017. So let's now please welcome Bryan Anderson. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our final competitor of the evening, and with that, indeed, the final performance of the preliminary round of the 2023 Longwood Gardens International Organ Competition, and that performer is Ádám Tabajdi. Ádám, who is from Hungary, has had a range of international experience. Amongst other things, he was intern at the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris and the resident organist of the Sapporo Concert Hall in Kitara, Japan. So in addition to concerts in Hungary, he's played at the Chapelle Royale at Versailles, at the Cathedral of Chartres in Hamburg, and in concert halls throughout Japan. He's studied at the Conservatoire Supérieur de Musique et de Danse in Paris, and he's currently a doctoral student at the famed Liszt Academy in Budapest. In 2021, he won first prize and the audience prize of the 13th Toulouse International Organ Competition, and he was awarded scholarships by the Fondation de France and the Amine de Tarazzi Foundation in France, which is a humanitarian-focused foundation, and the Annie Fisher Scholarship of the Performing Arts in his native Hungary. He talks about his approach to the organ as something shaped by some interesting elements, shaped by folk music, by the traditions of his own country, native folk music of Eastern Europe and Hungary in his case, and improvisatory music making. So please welcome from Hungary, Ádám Tabajdi. And with that, we conclude the preliminary rounds of the 2023 Longwood Gardens International Organ Competition. I now have the pleasure of inviting you in the ballroom, our audience, to a dessert reception, to enjoy a dessert reception outside of the ballroom while the judges go to do some very important work, with or without the delights of dessert to help them. Their task is to name the 5 finalists who will be competing and the finalists that you will hear on Saturday. We'll announce the results of that deliberation, the 5 finalists, at the conclusion of their work when they return, and that's expected to be at approximately 9 o'clock, plus or minus a few moments. And so let us adjourn. Well, there are many exciting moments to be had in any event such as this, and here's an important one indeed, as we announce the finalists who will compete on Saturday for the prizes and for the important distinction associated with the Longwood Gardens International Organ Competition. But first, I hope that you agree with me that we've seen a high level of competition and a high level of music making from all of our competitors, indeed a pinnacle of artistry from all 10 of our qualifiers. And they're sitting here and they're awaiting the results, and we don't want to keep them in suspense any longer than we have to, but maybe we can show them our appreciation as a group. Now, I've been introducing this gentleman all week long. It's my pleasure to introduce again our head judge, Simon Johnson, who will give us the results of the judges' deliberations. Simon?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And can I start by saying what a terrific privilege it is on behalf of the esteemed jury that we've had for this competition. It's wonderful to be here listening to this really unique and fantastic organ, which offers so many possibilities for the interpretation of all the pieces that we've heard over the course of the last 2 days. It's a time-honored tradition to say that nobody is a loser, and I congratulate all of the competitors on a really outstanding effort over the past 2 days. Thank you for all you've done. Music making on the organ is something that is so precious to all of us, and we thank you for your contribution. It's terribly important, and I hope you will all go on to great things. So, without further ado, we have to choose 5 organists to take part in the final round, and in random order, I will now announce them. Samuel Lee, Ádám Tabajdi, Colin McKnight, Alex Santari-Valius, and Bryan Anderson.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you, judges. Congratulations to all our competitors again. To all of you in the ballroom, a special congratulations to our finalists. There's more to follow on Saturday afternoon and evening. Please don't forget our panel discussion, by the way, on Friday at 11 o'clock in the morning. And in the meanwhile, a good night to you all. Thank you.